Imagine waking up inside a completely different version of your life, same body, same name, but your bank account is bigger, your relationships feel aligned, your health finally makes sense, and you actually like who you are. Now here's the twist. That shift doesn't start out there. It begins with a hidden blueprint running silently in the background of your mind. In this video, I'm going to show you that blueprint. Not in a fluffy, just think positive way, but as a clear, practical map you can actually use. We'll break down why trying harder hasn't worked, how your current reality is being generated on autopilot, and the specific internal switches you must flip to experience real change. If you've ever felt stuck between who you are and who you know you could be, stay with me. By the end, you'll understand exactly how to architect a new reality from the inside out. Most people think reality changes when circumstances change, when the job comes, the money lands, the right person appears. But the truth is flipped. Your inner blueprint quietly rearranges what you notice, what you tolerate, and what you create. In this video, we're going to decode that blueprint step by step. We'll explore how your identity, beliefs, emotions, and daily actions combine into a kind of operating system that projects your current life. Then I'll show you how to edit that system so your external world starts catching up. If you're serious about shifting your reality, watch this all the way through because each part builds on the last like a code you're unlocking. And if this kind of deep, practical breakdown is valuable to you, consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell so you don't miss the follow-up videos where we'll go even deeper and build on what you learned today. Let's define what I mean by a reality blueprint. Forget the mystical language for a moment. Think of your life like software. What you see on the screen, your finances, health, relationships, is the interface. Beneath that is code, your identity, beliefs, emotional patterns, habits, and environment. That code decides what's even possible to show up on your screen. Your blueprint answers silent questions. Who am I? What's normal for me? What do I expect from life? What do I secretly believe I deserve? These aren't usually conscious. They live in the background, shaping your reactions and decisions. Trying to change your life without changing this blueprint is like painting over a cracked wall. It might look better briefly, but the old pattern breaks through. In this video, we're going to examine each layer of that code, and I'll give you practical tools to rewrite it so your outer reality has no choice but to update. The deepest layer of your blueprint is identity, the story of who you believe you are, not who you say you want to be, but who feels familiar. Your identity sounds like, I'm the kind of person who, followed by words like, always struggles with money, can't stay consistent, never finishes things, or on the flip side, always figures it out, learns fast, takes care of their body. Here's the key. Your brain is wired to stay congruent with your identity. If you see yourself as someone who always messes things up, you'll unconsciously sabotage success to stay consistent with that story. To shift reality, you don't start with goals. You start with identity statements. Ask, who is already living the life I want? What are 3 identity traits they'd have? Then craft, I am the kind of person who, statements that match. We'll later connect these to actions so they become real, not just affirmations. Once identity sets the frame, beliefs build the walls. A belief is just a thought you've repeated enough times that it feels like a fact. But here's the trick. Your brain doesn't care if a belief is helpful. It cares if it feels familiar. Common limiting beliefs sound like, people like me don't get rich. It's too late to start over. No one really understands me. Or, success means sacrificing my health. These become filters. You literally stop seeing opportunities that contradict them. To shift this, you don't need to instantly believe the opposite. That's too big a leap. Instead, you create bridge beliefs, statements that are slightly more empowering but still believable. For example, people like me can learn to make more money, or it might be possible to succeed without burning out. Your blueprint starts shifting the moment you question, is this belief something I chose or something I inherited and never updated? Your nervous system is the guardian of your blueprint. It decides what feels safe, and it always chooses familiar over better. That's why new opportunities can feel terrifying, even when they're exactly what you asked for. When you try to shift reality, your body often reacts first. Tight chest before a conversation, anxiety when checking your bank account, exhaustion when you sit down to work on a dream. Many people misinterpret these signals as proof they're not ready. In truth, it's just your nervous system saying, "This is new, I don't know if we survive this." To change your reality, you must expand what feels safe. Simple practices, slow breathing, grounding your feet on the floor, describing your environment out loud, teach your body that new actions aren't threats. Remember, if your dream life feels overwhelming in your body, you'll unconsciously push it away. We want your nervous system to treat your new reality as home, not danger. Next layer, attention. You don't experience reality directly. You experience what your attention highlights. Two people can live the same day. One sees only problems, the other sees patterns and possibilities. Same world, different channel tuned. Your brain has a system called the reticular activating system, RAS, that acts like a search engine. Whatever you label as important through repetition, strong emotion, or focus, your RAS starts finding more of. That's why when you decide to buy a certain car, you suddenly see it everywhere. If your internal blueprint is set to "life is hard," your attention scans for proof of struggle. If you set it to "I'm learning to create opportunities," your attention hunts for paths, people, and resources. A simple practice. Once a day, write down 3 tiny moments that support your new identity. Anything that proves, even 1%, you're becoming that person. You're training your attention to recognize the new reality. Let's talk language, the spoken architecture of your blueprint. Words don't just describe reality, they program your perception of it. Each time you say, "I'm so disorganized," or "I'm terrible with money," you're reinforcing a script your brain dutifully follows. There are 3 linguistic patterns that quietly lock your reality in place. First, identity language. I am plus something limiting. Second, permanence language. It's always like this. Nothing ever works out. Third, helpless language. There's nothing I can do. That's just how I am. To shift your blueprint, soften these. Instead of "I'm so lazy," try "I've been acting lazily, but I'm learning to manage my energy." Instead of "This always happens," use "This has been happening, and now I'm changing how I respond." Micro shifts in language create macro shifts in behavior over time, because your brain constantly edits reality to match the story you're telling. Your environment is the physical casing around your blueprint. Most people underestimate how brutally their surroundings reinforce their current reality. The apps on your phone, the clutter in your room, the people you see most, all send signals about who you are and what's normal. Ask yourself, if a stranger walked into my space, what story would they assume about my life? Overwhelmed and scattered, focused and intentional, still living in past versions of myself? Shifting reality often starts with low drama environmental edits. For example, creating a dedicated future self corner to work or study, removing one object that drags you back into old patterns, curating your social feeds so your inputs match where you're going, not where you've been. When your environment aligns with your desired identity, your brain stops fighting you. The new reality stops feeling like an act and starts feeling like the path of least resistance. Thoughts, feelings, and actions loop together, constantly reinforcing your blueprint. Here's how it works. A thought, "I'm probably going to mess this up," generates an emotion, anxiety, which influences behavior, procrastination, or half-hearted effort, which then creates a result, mediocre outcome, that reinforces the original thought. To shift your reality, you don't need to control every thought. Instead, you interrupt the loop at the easiest point, behavior. When you take a small new action while feeling the same old emotion, you send your brain new data. Even when I'm anxious, I can still show up. Over time, your thoughts adapt to your actions, not the other way around. Design one disruptor action for your life, a tiny step that your future self would take daily, replying to one email, doing 5 minutes of stretching, transferring $5 to savings. The action is small, but the identity signal is huge. Here's where it becomes a true blueprint. We layer these pieces into a simple model you can remember. Think of it as 5 concentric circles. At the center, identity, who you believe you are. Next ring, beliefs, what you assume is possible or impossible. Next, emotional safety, what your nervous system allows you to experience without panicking. Next, focus and language, what you notice and how you describe it. Outer ring, environment and habits, what you do and surround yourself with daily. Your current reality is the visible expression of these 5 layers interacting. To shift reality, you don't blast all 5 at once. You pick one small upgrade in each ring and stack them. A 1% shift in identity plus a 1% shift in belief plus a 1% shift in environment compounds. Over weeks and months, the outer world starts rearranging to match. This is how you consciously architect a new life instead of waiting for one to appear. Let's make this real with a practical example. Imagine someone stuck in a paycheck-to-paycheck loop, exhausted and convinced they're just bad with money. How would they use this blueprint? Identity. They shift from "I'm terrible with money" to "I'm becoming a careful money manager." Belief. From "I'll always struggle" to "I can learn skills that change my situation." Nervous system. They practice calming themselves while opening banking apps instead of avoiding them. Focus and language. They stop saying "I'm broke" and start saying "I'm reallocating my resources and learning to prioritize." Environment and habits. They automate a tiny savings transfer and replace doom scrolling with one short money education video daily. For the first month, nothing spectacular happens externally, but internally, the code is rewriting. 6 months later, new opportunities that were previously invisible show up, and this time they feel capable of saying yes. A blueprint is only powerful if you actually run it, so let's create a 15-minute daily protocol to shift your reality. Minutes 1-3. Identity priming. Write 3. I am the kind of person who statements for your desired self. Read them slowly and imagine small actions that match. Minutes 4-6. Belief bridging. Pick one old belief and write a slightly better version. Ask, what tiny evidence do I have this might be true? Minutes 7-9. Nervous system reset. Do slow breathing. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Tell your body, we're safe while we change. Minutes 10-12. Focus training. List 3 moments from the last 24 hours that support your new identity, no matter how small. Minutes 13-15. Environment and action. Remove one small friction from your space and take one concrete step your future self would be proud of. Run this protocol for 30 days and watch what starts to bend. Let's zoom out and crystallize what we've covered because your mind remembers structured summaries best. First, your reality is not just circumstances. It's a projection of an internal blueprint made of identity, beliefs, nervous system safety, focus, language, environment, and habits. Second, identity is the deepest lever. I am the kind of person who quietly dictates what you allow or reject. Beliefs in your nervous system then decide what feels possible and safe. Third, attention and language act as the user interface. What you highlight and how you describe it either reinforce the old code or install new instructions. Fourth, your environment either drags you back into past versions of yourself or gently escorts you into the next one. Finally, consistent micro actions, especially through the 15-minute daily protocol, create compounding shifts. You don't need a dramatic overnight transformation. You need a repeatable process that gradually makes the new reality feel like the only logical outcome. Now that you understand the secret blueprint behind your reality, the real question is, what will you do with it in the next 24 hours? Insight without implementation just becomes comfortable entertainment. Here's your challenge. Tonight or tomorrow morning, run the 15-minute protocol once. Write your 3 identity statements. Bridge one belief. Calm your nervous system. Train your focus and take one future self action. Then pay attention over the next week to any tiny shifts in your choices, in how people respond to you, in what opportunities appear. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos where we'll build specific blueprints for money, relationships, and health. Comment below with the one part of your current blueprint you're most committed to changing: identity, belief, environment, or something else. Your reality is not fixed. The code is editable. The moment you start rewriting it, your life has to respond.